He hasn't left us. He's still with us. He's still the God of yesterday, today, and forever. He's still the God that's revealing himself. Oh God, if you just, in Jeremiah, search for me with all your heart. They that seek me and search for me with all their heart shall find me. God is not hiding from you. He's trying to reveal himself, but you can't see it because your religion is in the way. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Lift your hand and say thank you. Come on, tell the Lord thank you. Thank you, Lord. So the Egyptians understand and believe, this was even back then, that life existed beyond the grave. And what we call holidays were for them holy days that were set aside to honor ancestral spirits, which the Greeks said, something wrong with that. So they came up with a name, necromancy, communication with the dead. They were honoring the ancestral spirits. Hallelujah. See, we in this culture don't honor nobody. You don't even honor parents, children. We don't honor. But that's what part of their religion was, to honor even those who had transformed, because they knew that life continued. So they honored that. Praise God. And they called it, it wasn't that they were practicing communication in that way. It was ancestral honor, which became demonized. Now, let me talk for you 1 minute. Half of the most recent revelations that I get, me and Prophet talk about this all the time, comes from mom or some ancestral coming to me, speaking to me at different times about different things. If I listen to religion, I would say, oh, that's the devil. The devil is a liar. That ain't the devil. That's what God communicates with you through familiar spirits. Not in a negative way, but for me, that you know, that you trust. So if an angel come to me in the form of my mother, I'm not frightened by that. I receive, that's a familiar spirit, not in the negative, but in the positive. Using that which are familiar, who figures of I trust. When I received my healing concerning that blood situation, it was my mom, and I showed the testimony that came to me. Hallelujah. And grabbed me by the hand and ran me to the altar and fell out on my knees and went into tongues in the spirit like I had never seen. And said, we're going to pray this thing out of you. That was a real situation where my life was threatening. That wasn't the devil bringing deliverance. That was God speaking. And prayed my deliverance in. When I came here that Sunday, I said, I'm healed with boldness. I am healed. And hallelujah. And then my auntie that I stayed with a lot, who raised me, she came in the place in the church where it was a flowing blue dress, kind of deep royal blue, swinging and flowing. It stood out. And so when I woke up, I said, wow, that it was so vivid, like I could see it. Let me just Google and see, what does it mean to have a royal blue dress the royal blue in a dream represents divine healing that's been administered. So that was God's way of confirming that I came up I was out of my mind. Like, when I went back to the doctor, he said, I don't see no trace. We're going to keep you on this medicine while, but there ain't no more trace in your blood. I'm sitting there like, man, you don't know what I know. Hallelujah. Come on, tell the Lord, thank you. But religion will tell me I'm missing God. Thank you, Lord. And that's what it calls you to miss God. Because man uses the control. So they take this years later and refashion it. That's why I read that first, to suit their. So I'm not against religion in the sense, the way I'm teaching the spirituality, but against this hypocrisy that we use it as a tool and a device to enslave and rationalize. The devil is a lie. That's not the God that we need. That ain't God. That ain't God. So it is. Last thing, and I'm going to close with this here and move to the last section. It's not as long. In modern history, here's another example used. The color black. In modern history, the color black was assigned negative and demeaning connotations, like blackball, blackmail, blacklist, black market, black represents death, That's in modern history. In African American and original traditions, the color white is used to symbolize death.
That's right.
That's a propaganda. They played you. You said, okay, here's some proof. On Mother's Day, millions of people don't wear a black carnation if they have any. They wear a white carnation. Symbolically of death, meaning the person, the parent has been deceased. White represents the deceased. In the Bible, Revelation makes reference to death riding on the pale, which is an all-white transparent horse. Colorless, Revelation 6 and 8. So white traditionally represents the absence of life. But the colors' meanings were reversed. Isn't that something? In the ancient tradition, Egypt, and the symbolism, the god of the earth, which was represented, which was, Osiris, was represented by a black image, which was Osiris. He was a black image figure in a black robe. Originally meant, and so forth and so on. God Osiris was black image, black robe. My Lord. So the days, we were black in certain things because of what, so there's a conflict in what that meant. That's an ancient. See that now? How propaganda in the name of God, religion, twist truths for you. So, so while we're on that subject, and this is my last section, my time, the oldest story about resurrection is a story about, Osiris and Isis and Horus and all of that. He said those stories are over 7,000 years old.
Tell the truth. Tell it.
Read it. Osiris, or that's about resurrection. Isis was tricked by her sister and lured into hell, and with the help of her father raised up. That's the same Christian story that we teach. That's 7,000 years old. I'm not trying to mess with your religion. But modern stuff is trying to cut you off from the true knowledge. Because once you get a certain kind of knowledge, your whole perspective, persona, and attitude and confidence change and you shift. And I become another force to deal with because I knew who I am. Thus you understand why it was important for them to change the slaves' names and cut them off from their history and sell their children all around and confuse them because you lose your self-identity. You don't know that you came from a highly developed civilization, and the black is beautiful. And so we the only race had to go around saying black is beautiful. I'm black and proud. And nobody else had to say that because of what they had done with the color black. The other people had to deal with that. And where did that come? It came from God. All right. And so also proof of that is the black Madonna and child. It's a black Madonna. It's a black child, which they refer to Mary, what they call Isis and Horus. But the black Madonna and child, that one of those shrine things is like, what was it, 14 to 1500s. There was a guy, an African guy, who was able to obtain a Bible from written in the maybe Ethiopian text or Syrian text, the different ones, and writing was going on in this Bible really thick, and he had it to study it. Got it from one of the museums, I don't know where it was. And one of the things he said, when I opened it up, and he's back over in this country, he said, you know how we use the pictures and all of that? All of the pictures were black people. So he understood off the bat. Christians came in under Constantine, all of them, and the first thing they did was whitewash, and change all the figures to white. So when our young folks and all reject a lot of this, they're rejecting what has happened based upon the agenda of other people. You ain't got to reject the word, but your concept of the word is so twisted and distorted. So you reject it. He said, wow, all the figures were black. And to justify it, they say, well, how do you explain the black Madonna going back to 1500? They say, well, through constant worship, and maybe they made it from a certain wood that darkened over time. They'll do everything to not give credit to black folk. If it's not about religion, why you work so hard? I mean, it's not about color. Why you work so hard? To discredit it, that's it. Okay, that's as far as I'm gonna go on that one. And the last thing is the symbol of the obelisk. But y'all see that in Washington they call it, that's that long, tall thing. In Washington they call it the Washington Monument. The truth of the matter is, this represents the eternal spirit that exists within all beings. The obelisk represents the eternal spirit that is within all beings. It can be found in every major city, including Washington, D.C., which is we call it the Washington Monument. But it represents, and it's the symbol of Osiris. That's the symbol. That's his symbol. It represents the eternal spirit of God that is free and that is in all individuals. Confirming the word, because in Ecclesiastes, Solomon writes in Ecclesiastes 3, I think it's 11, where God said, I have put eternity in your hearts, except that no man can find it out. Meaning you'll never be able to exhaust my presence within you. There's an infinite spirit in man that can never be, he'll never be able to reach a climax with this, because it's a creative and infinite spirit in man. The obelisk represents that eternal spirit that is within man. That's that tall symbol. And guess what? Not only is it in every major city, it's on your dollar bill. It represents the eternal spirit. So when they put it on this dollar, isn't that something? And that's an African symbol. 7,000 years old that we call it here, the Washington Monument. But it represents transformation, eternal spirit of God that is present within all.